Uh-oh. King Cankles is upset. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to my old faithfuls. Thank you for all of the support that you have given to me and shown me over the years. I also want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you for that extra support that you provide to my channel every month. I really do appreciate it. I also want to give a huge welcome to the newbies to the channel. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. And if you've come across this video and are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd be happy to have you. Before we get into King Cankles and his tirade, what did y'all expect from a blonde-haired white woman on CNN? Independent journalists, people over there on Twitter and on Threads, they are all dragging Dana Bash. And I'm like, have y'all not been watching Dana Bash? I mean, it's been what, a year, maybe and a half since I've divested from mainstream news media. So I've been tuned into Dana Bash prior to me divesting. And I'm like, why are y'all shocked? Dana Bash, since she's had her own show on CNN, has been the one that spews that both sidesism. Well, yeah, Republicans do this, but Democrats also do this. When the two are don't compare in the very least. And this is exactly what she did yesterday on her show. She had Jamie Raskins on her show. And of course, they're talking about what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And now everybody is reflecting about the violence and the animus in politics, right? Watch this.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your Democratic right, but overall,
yeah,
do you
I have
a
no
responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where two of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have, died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level of government, federal, state, local, all of it.
You're not going to get an argument from me on that. Before I let you.
Well, I don't think twice about it. I don't think twice about any of the rhetoric that I used when it comes to talking about Donald Trump. I do think he's terrible for this country. Now, Jamie Raskins is an elected official. I am not an elected official. But Jamie Raskins, I hate the fact that he went on the defensive. He should have gone on the offense. Period. I still remember when Donald Trump did this. I remember that. Do y'all remember that? I remember that Donald Trump incited an insurrection, right? Sent all of these angry, violent supporters of his down to the Capitol, where they destroyed property, where they were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," where they built a guillotine, where they were looking for Nancy Pelosi because they wanted to do her harm. They shitted all over the walls of the Capitol. They beat police officers to death. Donald Trump incited that. And then when some of them were held accountable for their violent behavior, Donald Trump then turned around and pardoned all of them. I remember back in 2016, 2017, 2015, 2016, when he was running for president back then. Remember, he cheered on his base and said, go ahead and knock the hell out of them. If you get arrested, I'll pay your legal fees. Remember that? I remember when he called African countries shithole countries. I remember when he said that NFL players who were kneeling were sons of bitches. The people around him who he has given permission to also be racist and violent. Yeah, I remember when they said that Puerto Rico was a floating pile of garbage. I remember when Donald Trump said on one of the biggest stages that Haitians were eating cats and dogs. I remember all of this violence that Donald Trump has incited from his base because of his words and his behavior. I remember all of that. Shout out to Kyle Kulinski, who responded to Scott Jennings. Y'all remember our conversation that we had about Scott Jennings and the information that Chef Joe put out there on Twitter. Go on back and find that video and check it out. Scott Jennings, he is beholden to Donald Trump because of blackmail. Because Scott Jennings likes to kiss men for 30 minutes. He likes to tongue duel with other men for 30 minutes at a time, allegedly. Scott Jennings put out there on Twitter, the reporting is now clear. A left-wing lunatic came to kill the president and his team. We have a violence and rhetoric problem on the left that must be acknowledged. So you see, Dana Bash is falling in line with the likes of Scott Jennings. They don't see any of the violence that's perpetuated from Donald Trump and the people on the right. They want to blame all of this violence that is happening in politics towards the people on the left, the Democrats, who only respond to the violence that's perpetuated by the people on the right. That is exactly why they are disingenuous with this bullshit ass argument and trying to have this bullshit ass conversation. Kyle Kulinski came through. Kyle Kulinski said, Trump has called the left enemy within, scum, terrorists, vermin, radical, lunatics, demonic, evil, fascist, Marxist, communist, garbage, the enemy of the people, the enemy within, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, lowlives. And let me add on, low IQ. That's usually directed towards black people. Yeah. So yeah, Dana Bash and all of these news media pundits who are talking about unifying and Donald Trump trying to unify the country and we've got to pipe down the rhetoric on the left, all of these people can kiss my ass. This is why y'all need to find independent news media. You need to find independent political commentators to follow because they're not peddling this type of bullshit. This wasn't supposed to be the biggest portion of this video, but clearly I had a lot to say. But King Cankles is pissed off and he got real ugly with the CBS 60 Minutes. The 60 Minutes interviewer, I don't know her name, she interviewed him last night on 60 Minutes and he got real ugly with her because she brought up this manifesto that the shooter, quotes, shooter at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, he had some things to say in his manifesto. This is what Donald Trump said.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're You're horrible people. Horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Oh, you think? Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are the
never,
gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in the other thing in the manifesto.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. King Kankles is pissed off that she brought up that manifesto and that specific part in that manifesto where he mentions that the guy is tired of being represented by rapists and child pedophiles and all of that stuff. And he says, you shouldn't be reading that. Well, bitch, we getting ready to read the entire manifesto. You can find the entire manifesto over in the New York Post. But I'm going to read it. Cole Allen's manifesto in full. Hello, everybody. I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On to why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me. And I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Why is he excluding Cash Patel? He's one of the kings of protecting pedophiles. Why hasn't he released the Epstein files? Hmm? Why is he going before Congress to lie in front of officials in congressional hearings to protect Donald Trump and the people who are in those files? Anyway, let me keep going. Okay, so he says administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated, not lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. Hotel security, not targets, if at all possible, aka unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. Then he moves on to rebuttals to objections. Objection 1: as a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Rebuttal: turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up, or a child starved, or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crime. Objection 2: this is not a convenient time for you to do this. Rebuttal: I need whoever thinks this way to take a couple minutes and realize that the world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim? This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. Objection 3: you didn't get the ball. Rebuttal: gotta start somewhere. Objection 4: as a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this. Rebuttal: I don't see anyone else picking up the slack. Objection 5: yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal: the United States of America are ruled by the law, not by any one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not be likely to be able to talk with them again unless the Secret Service is astoundingly incompetent. He ends his manifesto with: thank you to my family, both personal and church, for your love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship over the years. Thank you to my colleagues over many jobs for your positivity and professionalism. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. Thank you to the many acquaintances I've met in person and online, for short interactions and long term relationships, for your perspective and inspiration. Thank you all for everything. Sincerely, Cold Force Friendly Federal Assassin, Allen. P.S. Okay, now that all the sappy stuff is done, what the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, gonna rant a bit here and drop the formal note. Like I expected, security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out of the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Like, the one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons, and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals, because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. Like, this level of incompetence is insane, and I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. Like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a damn Madus in here and no one would have noticed. Shit. Actually insane. Oh, and if anyone is curious, is how doing something like feels, it's awful. I guess he's saying, oh, and if anyone is curious about how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will, for all the people whose trust this betrays. I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. And then down at the bottom, they define, the New York Post defines, note, a Meduse is a Browning M2 50 caliber heavy machine gun, a U.S. military staple for nearly a century, usually tripod mounted. And I just want to add this. The internet found this picture. They say that this is the shooter. And they were looking over what's on his shirt, and then they did some digging on what that icon on his shirt could be. They zoomed in closer on the icon, and then someone from MAGA world, because just as we believe that something is off, that this whole thing is a false flag or a staged event or whatever you want to call it, MAGA is believing the same as we are. And so this person put out shooter Cole Allen, seen here in an Instagram post wearing an IDF sweatshirt before his profile was removed. And so they are saying that the icon on the right is what's on Cole Allen's shirt in that photo on the left. And so, of course, people are going to say that the photo is fake, that it's AI and this and that. And so they asked Grok. They asked Grok if the photo was fake, and this is what Grok came back with. Modern AI generated images can be virtually indistinguishable from real ones, making definitive determination difficult or impossible from visual inspection alone. That said, the photos of Cole Allen, the portrait, the casual seated shot, and the IDF sweatshirt close up show consistent lighting, natural skin textures, realistic fabric details, and coherent backgrounds with no obvious AI artifacts like distorted features or inconsistencies. They appear to be authentic photos. The shooting incident itself is confirmed real by multiple outlets, including the New York Post, CBS News, and law enforcement sources. So, according to Grok, that photo is authentic. Before I head out, y'all, I want to give some thank yous to some of my peeps that show me some love over on the Cash App. I want to say thank you to Alicia W., Elizabeth A., Giancarlo H., Dana R., Sophia C. or Sophia C., and Charlenica G. Thank you all for showing me some love over on the Cash App. I really do appreciate you all. That's all I got for this video. Get down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next one. I promise y'all, this wasn't supposed to be that long, but I guess once I get to talking, I get to talking.